Bond, James Bond, 007. Guns, girls, and cars that go fast, with gadgets in them galore. Today is a double feature day, as I promised. 007 Thunderball. So join me as we take a look at Sean Connery's fourth installment of his go-round as the titular character 007 James Bond. Sean Connery came back to do the fourth Bond in 1965, and really it was a major success, with it being a more of a $1 million budget than previous. It was done at the right time, but more on those facts later on. Here's a small little tidbit. The song Thunderball, sung by Tom Jones, he passed out while probably recording this in the studio, of course, of a long extended note that he said, yes, he nearly passed out. So there's a small little tidbit of information that goes with this Thunderball 007 James Bond film that really was a $1 million budgeted movie that was filmed relatively at the right time, but more on those facts later on. Bond is synonymous with Ian Fleming. Unfortunately, Ian Fleming didn't get to see this film of his passing before it came out, but you can probably be rest assured that Thunderball was a major success and was made at the right time. Thunderball. Thunderball is a 1965 spy film, and the fourth in James Bond's series, produced by Eon Productions, starring Sean Connery as the fictional MI6 agent, James Bond. It is an adaptation of the 1961 novel of the same name by Ian Fleming, which in turn was based on a original screenplay by Jack Whittingham, devised from a story conceived by Kevin McClory, Whittingham, and Fleming. It was the third and final Bond film to be directed by Terence Young, with its screenplay by Richard Meyerbaum and John Hopkins. The film follows Bond's mission to find two NATO atomic bombs stolen by Spectre, which holds the world for ransom of £1 million in diamonds under its threat to destroy an unspecified metropolis in either the United Kingdom or the United States, later revealed to be Miami. The search leads Bond to the Bahamas, where he encounters Emilio Largo, the card-playing, eye-patched, wearing Spectre number 2, backed by CIA agent Felix Leiter and Largo's mistress, Domino Duval. Bond search culminates in an underwater battle with Largo's henchmen. The film's complex production comprised 4 different units, and about a quarter of the film comprises underwater scenes. Thunderball was the first Bond film shot in widescreen Panavision, and the first to have a running time of over 2 hours. Although planned by Bond film series producers Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman. As the first entry in the franchise, Thunderball was associated with the legal dispute in 1961, when former Fleming collaborators McClory and Whittingham sued him shortly after the 1961 publication of the novel, claiming he based it upon the screenplay the trio had written for the cinematic translation of James Bond. The lawsuit was settled out of court, and Broccoli and Saltzman, fearing a rival McClory film, allowed him to retain certain screen rights to the novel's plot and characters, and for McClory to receive sole producer credit on this film. Broccoli and Saltzman instead served as executive producers. The film was exceptionally successful. Its worldwide box office receipts of $141.2 million exceeded not only that of every one of its predecessors, but that of every one of the 5 Bond films that followed it. Thunderball remains the most financially successful film of the series in North America when adjusted for ticket price inflation. In 1966, John Steers won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and BAFTA-nominated production designer Ken Adam for an award. Some critics and viewers praised the film and branded it a welcome addition to the series, while others found the aquatic action, repetition, and the film's length excessive. The movie, followed by 1967's You Only Live Twice, in 1983, Warner Brothers released a second film adaptation of the Thunderball novel under the title Never Say Never Again, with McClory as executive producer. Broccoli's original choice for the role of Domino Duval was Julie Christie, following her performance in Billy Liar in 1963. Upon meeting her personally, he was disappointed and turned his attentions towards Raquel Welch. Rest in peace, Raquel Welch, this year, after seeing her on the cover of October 1964 issue of Life. Welch was hired by Richard Zanuck of the 20th Century Fox to appear in the film Fantastic Voyage the same year. Instead, Faye Dunaway was also considered for the role and came close to signing for the part. Saltzman and Broccoli auditioned an extensive, probably, I don't know, I'm reading that wrong. Anyway, let's continue. Of relatively unknown European actresses and models, including former Miss Italy Maria Grazia Busella, Yvonne Molia, probably pronounced that entirely wrong, I do apologize, of the Hammer horror films, and Gloria Paul, eventually. Former Miss France Claudine Auger was cast, and probably pronounced that one entirely wrong again. And the script was rewritten to make her character French rather than Italian, although her lines were dubbed in the final cut by Nikki Van der Zyl, who had voiced several previous Bond girls. Nevertheless, director Young cast her once again in his next film, Triple Cross, 1966. One of the actresses who tried for Domino, Lucinia Paluzzi, later accepted the role as the red-haired femme fatale assassin Fiona Kelly, who originally was intended by Meyerbaum to be Irish. The surname was changed to Felipe in coordination with Paluzzi's nationality. Filming. Guy Hamilton was invited to direct, but considered himself worn out and creatively drained. After the production of Goldfinger, Terrence Young, director of the first two Bond films, returned to the series coincidentally with when Saltzman invited him to direct Dr. No. Young expressed interest in directing adaptations of Dr. No from Russia with Love and Thunderball years later. Young and Thunderball was filmed at the right time. Young said Thunderball was filmed at the right time, considering that if it was the first film in the series, the low-budget Dr. No cost only $1 million would not have yielded good results. Thunderball was the final James Bond film directed by Young. Whew. Okay, well, I fluffed my way through that, but you get the idea. Filming commenced on the 16th of February 1965 with principal photography of the opening scene in Paris. Filming then moved to the Chateau d'Yonte near Douro, France, for the fight in pre-credit sequence. Much of the film was shot in the Bahamas. Thunderball is widely known for its extensive underwater action scenes, which played out through much of the latter half of the film. The rest of the film was shot in Pinewood Studios. Buckinghamshire Silverstone racing circuit for the chase involving Count Lippi, Fiona Volpe, P.G. armed BSA Lightning motorcycle and James Bond's Aston Martin DB5 before moving to Nassau and Paradise Island in the Bahamas, where most of the footage was shot. And Miami, Huntington, Hartford, gave him permission to shoot footage on his Paradise Island and is thanked at the end of the film. Effects, I will call this. After he read the script, Connery realised the risk of the sequence with the sharks in Largo's pool and insisted the production designers Ken Adam build a plexiglass partition inside the pool. The barrier was not a fixed structure, so when one of the sharks managed to pass through it, Connery fled the pool seconds away from attack. Ken Adam later told the UK daily newspaper The Guardian, "We had to use special effects, but unlike special effects today, they were real. The jetpack we used in Thunderball was real. It was invented for the United States Army. Bloody dangerous. And it only lasted a couple of minutes. The ejector seat in the Aston Martin was real, and Emilio Largo's boat, the Disco Volante, was real. So you had power boats at the time, but there were no good-sized yachts that were able to travel at 40 to 50 knots. So it was quite a problem. But by combining a hydrofoil, which we bought in Puerto Rico for $10,000, and a catamaran, it at least looked like a like a big yacht. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We combined the two hulls with 1-inch slip bolt, and when they split, it worked like a dream. Woo! We used lots of sharks for this movie. I'd rented a villa in the Bahamas with a saltwater pool, which we filled with sharks and used for underwater filming. The smell was horrendous. This was where Sean Connery came close to being bitten. We had a plexiglass corridor to protect him, but I didn't have quite enough plexiglass, and one of the sharks got through. He never got out of the pool faster in his life. He was walking on water. And that was quoted by, let me find this, Ken Adam of Special Effects. And just a little bit more on the visual effects and stuntman, and I found this quite interesting. There's just a little bit more on this. When special effects coordinator John Steers provided a supposedly dead shark to be towed around the pool, the shark, which was still alive, revived at one point. Due to the dangers on the set, stuntman Bill Cummings demanded an extra fee of £250 to double for Largo's sidekick, Quince, as he was dropped into the pool of sharks. Interesting. And quite frightening, to say the least. As I'm going to wrap this up with a bit of music after this. I'm still on effects, but I just found this really interesting. I hope you do too. I'm hoping you are not getting bored of this. I'm just intrigued with all this information. And because I love the Bonds, and this is awesome. I love talking about this stuff with you and giving you a few facts. You probably know this already, and you enjoy the Bonds. If you do, please comment down below which is your favourite Bond film. Anyway, here's some more of the effects. Thanks to special effects man John Steers, Thunderbolt's pre-title teaser, the Aston Martin DB5 introduced in Goldfinger reappears armed with rear firing water cannon, seemingly noticeably withered just dust and dirt, raised moments earlier by Bond's landing with the Bell rocket belt. Developed by Bell Aircraft Corporation, the rocket belt Bond uses to escape the chateau actually worked and was used many times before, for entertainment, most notably for Super Bowl. That's Super Bowl 1, I think, and at scheduled performances at the 1964-1965 New York World's Fair. Sorry about it just looked like an eye while I was reading this. Bond receives a spare gun, armed underwater jetpack scuba, allowing the Frogman to maneuver faster than other Frogmen. Designed by Jordan Klein, green dye was meant to be used by Bond as a smoke screen to escape pursuers. Instead, Rico Browning, the film's underwater director, used it to make Bond's arrival more dramatic. The skyhook used to rescue Bond at the end of the film was a rescue system used by the United States military at the time. At Thunderball's release, there was confusion to whether a rebreather such as the one that appears in the film existed. Most Bond gadgets, while implausible, often are based upon real technology. In the real world, a rebreather could not be so small, as it has no room for the breathing bag, while the alternative open circuit scuba releases exhalation bubbles, which the film device does not. It was made with two CO2 bottles glued together and painted with a small mouthpiece attached. Interesting. Love it. I love that small little rebreather. And you could say it's been modified for other films. I wonder if they've done it for real. Who knows? A question you'll have to answer yourself or ask yourself, because I don't have the foggiest idea. But it was so good to see and so fun to watch that, because it was like technology going into the future in the 1960s. I'm probably talking a lot of crap now. Let's get on with it. Music. Thunderball was the third James Bond score composed by John Barry after From Russia With Love and Goldfinger. The original title song was entitled Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, taken from an Italian journalist who, in 1962, dubbed Agent 007 as Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The title theme was written by Barry and Leslie Bricusis. The song was originally recorded by Shirley Bassey, but it was realized late in the day that the track was too short for the needed titles. As Bassey was unavailable, it was later recorded by Dionne Warwick with a longer instrumental introduction. The version was not released until the 1990s. The song was removed from the title credits after producers Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, there's no R in it, Harry Saltzman, were worried that a theme song to a James Bond film would not work well if the song did not have the title of the film in its lyrics. There we go. Barry then teamed up with the lyricist Don Black and wrote Thunderball, which was sung by Tom Jones, who, according to Bond production legend, fainted in the recording booth when singing the song's final note, so he did faint. Jones said of it, I closed my eyes and I held the note for so long. When I opened my eyes, the room was spinning. Country musician Johnny Cash also submitted a song to Eon Productions titled Thunderball, but it was unused. Well, that's interesting. Oh, I did not know that at all. Stuff that you don't know turn up in a Wikipedia. And yes, I'm reading Wikipedia. Anyway, that's interesting that Johnny Cash submitted a song but didn't get used. But I was right about Tom Jones. Well, half right, he did faint. Okay. As I wrap this up, this Sean Connery coming back as 007, 1965's Thunderball, I'm going to read now the cast and crew. Directed by Terrence Young, screenplay by Richard Meyerbaum, John Hopkins, original screenplay by Jack Whittingham, story by Kevin McClory, Jack Whittingham, Ian Fleming. It's based on Thunderball by Ian Fleming, produced by Kevin McClory, starring, of course, none other, let's continue, Sean Connery, Claudia Alger, I'll probably pronounce that wrong, Adolfo Cili, that he was Largo, Lucina Paluzzi, probably butchered her name, of course, sorry about that, Rick Van Nutter, Guy Dolman, not forgetting Desmond Llewellyn as Q, Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny, and Bernard Lee as M. Cinematography was done by Ted Moore, edited by Peter Hunt, Ernest Holster. Music by John Barry, production company Eon Productions, song sung by Tom Jones, distributed by United Artists, release 9th of December 1965 Tokyo premiere, 22nd December 1965 United States, 29th December 1965 United Kingdom. Running time was the longest in the Bond franchise to date at 130 minutes. Countries, United Kingdom and United States. English language, of course, budgeted at $9 million. Box office take was $141.2 million. And there you go. Everybody, of course, knows the Thunderball story. So I'm not going to give you the plot. You know it. If you don't, go and watch it on Blu-ray, or if you've got an old VHS at home, have at it. Or there is also a DVD. It is a brilliant, and one of my favourite 007 movies, Thunderball, one of my favourite Sean Connery films. And with all that being said and read out, it is a movie that you can just sit down and watch and have popcorn out and drinks. It's really, to my opinion, one that you could analyse. Yes, you could analyse the fact that there's a bad guy wants to take over the world and really ends up nearly taking just Miami over, with destruction being Spectre, being having the Dr. No voice and actor portraying, you could say, Blofeld, being the primary bad guy of James Bond, and having number 2 being defeated by really Domino, not James Bond, and having that whole storyline being told, and having Domino's brother being involved in this plot, and having a double being made by plastic surgery. So you've got that storyline involved with plastic surgery, and in 1965 you could say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was that prevalent in the 1960s? Probably, but not so much nowadays. And you have the Spectre acronym, of course, being extortion, because Blofeld is extorting money from the United Kingdom and the world and the United States, and take over the world. So they take nuclear bombs and armaments to actually maybe destroy the world. So there is that, and there's one man and one man alone who can defeat and get rid of the bad man or henchman, with spear gun in this case, and have funny quips and jokes and one-liners saying that I think he got the point. Getting the Bond girl as to Domino, or beating a Bond bad henchman as a Velope, getting the information, or being tricked. Seeing Bond's vulnerability was quite good in a way in this film. Seeing him a little bit frightened and knowing not what to do, being chased by Velope's henchmen, but winning out in the end by dancing on a dance floor, and one of the henchmen shoots her and not Bond, was really quite lucky in a case. Also, with the fact that they've only got a limited and minute time to actually find these bombs, and there's this plane underwater with all these sharks, and they do it in the nick of time. And that's what Bond is. He gets there and defeats in the nick of time. And he does it with suaveness and debonairness and martinis swilled, shaken, not stirred. It is a treat to watch one of these films on streaming now. You never used to do that. You could go out to the video stores and hire Thunderball, or You Only Live Twice, and sit down and enjoy it. Nowadays on streaming services, because Prime, you can watch all the Bond films at just a turn on your remote or PS4, 5, or what have you. Go into the streaming service of Prime and watch any one of them. And it's fantastic in a way. Also is technology, and that's another discussion which I won't have with you at all, because I'm not technically minded. I digress. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this spiel of talking about it, getting to know the facts. If you didn't already before, you know it now. But if I'm wrong, in any case, if I've left out anything regarding this movie, I apologise. But do I? Probably not. Because this is my take and my conversation and talking about it and loving James Bond 007. License to kill or to be killed. Anyway, I've been your host, Peter Gordon McKinnon. This has been the P.G.M show. Until then, take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there, everyone. God bless you all. Until next time, I'll be discussing and talking about You Only Live Twice. Okay? Until then, see you later.